أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ثم أما بعد. So as Muslims, what we seek, obviously, through our actions and the things what we're supposed to be seeking through our actions and the things that we do as Muslims and our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that we're seeking out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. And it's not only just our actions that we're going to get that mercy, but there are reasons for this. There are ways to attain this. And obviously, from amongst those ways of attaining the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His forgiveness, is not just sitting back, disobeying Him, and then hoping for the best. That's the path of a fool. That's the path of a fool who's destined for punishment if he continues on in that path and dies in that way, in that manner. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His forgiveness, there's ways of obtaining that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has pointed out in the Quran, and inshallah, that's what we hope to at least cover some of those ways of obtaining that mercy and that forgiveness, inshallah ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in the Quran, He said, وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَأَجْرٌ عَظِيمٌ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, Wa'ad here it means to promise. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised الَّذِينَ آمَنوا, those that believe. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. So not only that they believe, but they back up their belief with righteous actions. Lahum, for them, will be maghfirah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive them the sins, and they'll also have ajrun azim, and they'll have a great reward. So we see that this forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also His mercy, it comes about through action. It doesn't come about through sitting down doing nothing. Just like anything in this dunya, we know that we have to work for it. If we were to just sit at home and do nothing all day long and just hope that our salary would just come to the house, you would call this person a fool. You call this person the most ignorant person on the face of this planet. But yet the majority of the Muslims, they sit around and they disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all day long. But yet they still sit back and hope for this mercy and hope for this forgiveness without even going out and seeking it. See, these types of things that have to be sought. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala detailed what? The most important thing to start off with is having iman. And having the correct beliefs of this deen, the correct aqeedah, the understanding of tawheed, and to back that up with obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and righteous actions. Righteous actions. So also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned that who He's going to be forgiving for. He said, وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن, He said, وإني لغفار لمن تاب وآمن وعمل صالحا ثم اهتدى. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, that He said, إني لغفار. So He said here, He used the word ghaffar, which is from the, in Arabic language, it's called a sighat al-mubalagha, which means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is full of forgiveness. Full of forgiveness for who? Liman tab. For the person who seeks forgiveness and repents for his sins. Wa amila salihan. And after he makes tawbah, once he realizes that he's made a mistake, he makes tawbah, he goes back and he repents for his sins, and he goes back to going, to doing righteous actions. Thumma ihtada. And after he's in the continuity of these righteous actions, thumma ihtada. So this ihtada here was explained by Al-Dhahak rahimahullah, which he said, and ihtada ay istiqama. That he becomes upright. He makes tawbah, he repents for his sins, he starts doing righteous actions, and then what? And then he acts upright. He doesn't repent and feel sorry for his sins and then revert back to his jahiliyyah ways. He doesn't, repent and feel sorry for his sins, and then once he starts to feel comfortable again, next thing you know, you start to see him falling back in the same sins again. No, after he commits these sins and once he makes the tawbah, once he starts doing the righteous actions, he acts upright and he avoids those sins to the best of his capability. Those are the people that are deserving of the forgiveness of Allah. Those are the people that are deserving of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned about it, now in this case, in this ayat that I'm going to recite now, He mentioned about His mercy and how vast His mercy is and also who it's for. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He said, وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَسَأَكْتُبُهَا لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِآيَاتِنَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, He said, وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. That my mercy is more vast than everything. So imagine that you have your Lord, your Creator, your Sustainer, the one that you worship, is telling you how easy it is to get the mercy is vast. It's vaster than anything that you can imagine. And all you got to do is just seek it. All you have to do is just do the righteous actions and the things that are pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go out and get it. Stop sitting around waiting for it. You got to go get it. It's there. But you got to go out and search for it and work for it. And you're going to have to sweat for it. But you can get it. So he said after that, he said, وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَسَأَكْتُبَهَا. But now he's going to mention, after he mentions the vastness of his mercy, he mentions who it's for. And he said, فَسَأَكْتُبَهَا. He said, I'm going to write it for the who? لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ. For the people of taqwa. The people of taqwa are the people who are deserving of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they're the people who are deserving of His forgiveness. The people of taqwa are the people who put the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first over the obedience of everybody else. They're not going to sit here and fall into peer pressure and start to compromise with their religion just because of what the society tries to put pressure on them or their friends or the people around them. They put the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. And if it means that they have to lose their friends, and it means that the people have to laugh at them or the people have to insult them, then so be it. They take that. They take it and they keep it moving because what they're hoping for, the mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is way greater from these stupid petty insults that the people can give them. It's made way stronger and greater than anything in this dunya. So they're not concerned with this. They're concerned with getting that mercy. So these are the people of taqwa. The people of what? Obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They carry out His commands and they stay away from His prohibitions. Once they know that this is something that's haram, that's it, it's done. They don't start to justify it. They don't start to question it. They don't try to go mufti shopping where they go from sheikh to sheikh just trying to get the answer that they're searching for. They're trying to get the truth and understand what's halal, what's haram. This is what I have to do as a Muslim, then that's what I'm going to do. This is what I have to stay away from as a Muslim, then that's what I'm going to stay away from. And that's that. So those are the people of taqwa. And then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, after the taqwa, He said, well, yu'tuna zakat. And the people also that give the zakat of their money. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِآيَاتِنَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. And those that with our signs, with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed, they're believers. How are they believers? All of you, everybody in this room, if I were to ask you right now, do you believe in every ayat that was sit down in the Quran? Everybody would say yes. But then I ask you the next question, how much of that Quran do you implement in your life? How much of it? 1%, 2%? How much? Something that we need to think about. So if you truly believe in the Quran, why do you implement so little of it? Why does it take so little importance in your life? Why aren't you focused every single day if this book is so important and you have so much belief in the Quran? What are you doing every single day to learn your deen, to understand this book? What are you doing every single day to learn this deen, to like what? To know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you to do in this book and what He's prohibited you from. What are you doing? How many times a week do you even pick up the Mus'haf? Do you even pick up the Quran and even read it? And then how many times a week do you actually sit back and go through tafsir and try to understand what you're reading? So a lot of us sit here with the lip service, and we love to say how much we believe in Allah, and we believe in this book, and we believe in this messenger, but look at your actions. Wallahi, your actions are either going to tell you that you're a truthful person or you're a liar. If your actions are not lining up with your statements, you know, it's just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhalladhina aminu, lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, oh, you who believe, why is it that you say things that you don't do? You sit here and speak things that aren't really truly in your heart. Oh, I believe in Allah, I believe in this book. All right, then show it. That should come out in your actions. Because a man is known by the things that he loves, by what he works hard for. By what he works hard for. How much effort, how much sweat have you put into understanding the Quran? How much effort and sweat has come off your head and blood from your body in trying to practice the Quran? How much? So you don't truly love it like you say you do. Because if you really loved it, it will come out in your effort and your diligence and your hard work to understand it and your hard work to practice it. Those are the people that truly believe in Allah's book. Those are the people that truly believe in the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down. And those are the people that are truly, deserving of His mercy. So after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so He said, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِآيَاتِنَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentioned another person, because we've seen the mu'min, we've seen the muttaqi, and we also see after that the muhsin. So these are the people that are deserving of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His forgiveness. The muhsin, as explained by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith of Jibril, where Jibril came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asked him about Islam and he asked him about Iman, and then he said, وَمَا الْإِحْسَانِ. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أَن تَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. So here, the Prophet ﷺ's response, when he was asked about al-ihsan, he said, and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him. And obviously, if you're going to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him, you're not going to be praying, scratching your arms and scratching your head and playing with your phone or doing all these types of things. If you know that you're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your salat, you're going to pray with the most khushu', with the most focus in your salat. And that's the person, that's the muhsin. Whenever he does all these types of ibadat, he does them as if he's right there in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doing these actions. And then you see the people, when they come to the masjid, and you start reciting the Quran, maybe you read one page of the Quran, maybe two, and you start to see them start to fidget, start fidgeting, start scratching. Hurry up, Imam, hurry up. You start to see all this type of stuff, right? But yet, mashallah, you go see him stand in line at the bank, and he's got the most patience for the dunya because he's trying to get money out the bank. Or if they were handing out free food somewhere, he would stand in line for 3 hours and not budge, not even complain about his feet. Can't stand up in prayer for 15 minutes, except for he starts clearing his throat and making dua on the imam. Because of what? So are we really truly being honest when we talk about we believe that we're really, really ready to act and to implement this deen? So you see that the dunya is more important because that's what you're ready to suffer for. That's what you struggle for every day. It's not Fajr that wakes you up every day. That's that alarm that's telling you it's time to go to work. And that's what you do. You go and get ready. You put on your best clothes to go to work. And you're ready. You come to the masjid. When you come to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you come in a t-shirt, jeans, and slides. But mashallah, look at the effort that you put into looking good for your job. Yawm al-Jum'ah, the day that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that the person should wear the best of his clothing. This is an Eid. Do you dress the same way for Jumu'ah like you would dress for a job interview? So what do you take more seriously? Are you really now expecting the mercy of Allah, the forgiveness of Allah, and this is the way that we act? Where we put everything as a priority over the things that we're supposed to be doing. And like I said, you just pray one page in the salat and mashallah, you start to see every single movement start to happen from the person. Can't be patient. It can be patient with everything in the dunya. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about the muhsineen. He said, Inna rahmatullahi qareebun min al-muhsineen. That the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closest to who? The people of ihsan. Those people that worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if they see Him. And if they aren't able to see Him, then they know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees them. So this is how they worship Allah, and this is the way that they live their lives. These are the muhsineen. These are the people of ihsan. That they live their lives throughout the whole days, not just during the times of worship, but even the times when they're alone. That their worship, it doesn't change whether they're in front of the people or whether they're alone. They're doing the same thing. In fact, they might even do less in front of the people because they don't want to start to show off, and they do more when they're alone. But you see the people nowadays, it's the complete opposite. We have the worship of the hypocrites. We only worship when we're amongst the people. But then when we go home, it's like we take the clothing of Islam off, and then we just, turn on the TV, turn on the PlayStation, and act a fool. No Islam in the household. Turn on the music. We're not concerned about the Quran anymore. That's in the masjid amongst the people. But now when we're alone, then we're back with our shayateen. It should be the opposite. The real muhsin and the person who's deserving of this mercy, deserving of the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he's alone, you're going to see him more fearful of Allah, more fearful, and you'll be acting more and doing the things that you'll never know about. You will never know what this person is doing until you come on the day of judgment and he's sitting up on them high couches while you're sweating with the sun 1 mile from your head. That's when you're going to find out what that person was doing in the secret. While you were wasting your time laughing and joking and giggling about this dunya, that's what he was doing, standing up at night, praying during the day, reading the Quran, studying the deen, trying to understand the Quran. And you were just taking this all as a joke. So now who's going to be more deserving of that mercy on the day of judgment? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said about the people that are deserving of that forgiveness and merciful are the people who are quick to act. Not the people that procrastinate. Not the people who see the opportunity to do good and say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it when I feel better. But these are the types of people, once they see the opportunity to do good, and they see it, they take it right away, and they don't procrastinate with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ أَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the believers, the people that are searching out that forgiveness and that mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَسَارِعُوا. Go swiftly out to seek this forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't wait. Don't wait, because we don't know when this death is going to come upon us. We don't know how much life we have left. Just anything can happen to us at any moment. So go out and seek the forgiveness from your Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quickly, swiftly, without procrastination. And seek out the Jannah. That the width of the Jannah is wider than all of the heavens, all of the heavens and the earth. That's the width. And just like the people of Tafsir said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained the width of Jannah. Because normally with anything, that the length of something is much, much greater than the width. So if he explained the width and it's greater than the heavens and the earth, then you can't even imagine the length of Jannah. That's the 7 heavens and the 7 earths. And we know from the hadith, from the 7. Tell them to come up. Ikhwa, can y'all come up a little bit? Come closer, yeah. Because that's the women's section. All right. So the 7, you have the 7, each sama. From the first sama to the second sama is a traveling of 500 years. 500 years. There's seven skies, 7 heavens. 7 heavens, and each layer to the next layer is a traveling of 500 years. That's a traveling of 3,500 years, and that's just the heavens. And then 7 earths, the same. 3,000 plus 3,500 plus 3,500, that's 7,000 years of travel. That's the width of Jannah. That's the width. So can you imagine how huge that is? But those people that don't procrastinate, that's what they're seeking out. So he said, وَجَنَّةً أَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. It is prepared That all of this that you just heard about, the Jannah and all the vastness of it, and the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only prepared for who? For the people of taqwa, for the people that carry out the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stay away from His prohibitions. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, and if this was the only ayat that I read, this should be sufficient for anybody that understands. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّمَا تُنذِرُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ ذِكْرَ وَخَشِيَ الرَّحْمَنَ بِالْغَيْبِ فَبَشِّرْهُ بِمَغْفِرَةٍ وَأَجْرٍ كَرِيمٍ. This ayah should be sufficient. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّمَا تُنذِرُ. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, you're only warning. But the meaning here is not that you're only warning. He's saying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, the only people that benefit from your warning are the people that He's going to mention. إِنَّمَا تُنذِرُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ ذِكْرَ. The only people that benefit from the warning that you're giving to the people are the people who implement the Quran. The ittaba'a dhikr, the dhikr of Quran. All right, so here is the people that what? That understand it. They go, they read it, they learn it, they understand it, and they practice it. Those are the people that benefit from the warning. So what does that mean? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّمَا تُنذِرُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ dhikr. That means nobody else benefits from this warning. Only those people. The only way that you can benefit from that warning, the warning that the Prophet ﷺ gave to the people, the only way is by you understanding the Quran, learning it, understanding it, reading it first off, and practicing and putting it into practice in your everyday life. So he said, إِنَّمَا تُنذِرُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ ذِكْرَ وَخَشِيَ الرَّحْمَنَ بِالْغَيْبِ. And he said, وَخَشِيَ الرَّحْمَنَ بِالْغَيْبِ. And he has fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he's alone. Not when he's amongst the people. He doesn't put up the act amongst the people. He acts like a Muslim when he's in front of the people. But he acts more of a Muslim. And he said, khashya. Khashya is the highest level of fear. The highest level of fear only for Allah. That he has this khashya for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fil ghayb. What? When he's alone. When nobody sees him. These are the people that benefit from the mercy of Allah and His forgiveness. And these are the people that deserve it and they get it. So the people that practice this Quran and the people that what? The people that worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fear Him in private. Much more than they'll fear Him in public. Not just coming out and putting on this cosplay costume of acting like you're a Muslim when you're in the masjid. Step out the masjid and act like a kafir for the next 24 hours. No, this is a deen. And a deen, it means a way of life. It does not mean a religion. It means a deen is a way of life. It means that everything about this, everything about your existence, the way you sleep, the way you wake up, the way you go to the bathroom, it's not just about prayer, fasting, everything we learn it from the Quran and the Sunnah. And we put everything that we can into practice. Even to the point if we can only find a hadith to brush our hair, to see how the Prophet ﷺ brushed his hair, and we try to brush our hair like the Prophet ﷺ brushed his hair, then we should do it. That's what we should do. These are the people that are they benefit from that mercy. And then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَبَشِّرْهُ. And give that person, the person who what? Who practices and implements the Quran, and the person that fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he's alone. فَبَشِّرْهُ. Now give him glad tidings. بِمَغْفِرَةٍ. Give him glad tidings of forgiveness. وَأَجْرًا كَرِيمٍ. And an honorable reward from his Lord. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those that get that reward and get the mercy and get the forgiveness. Wallahu musta'an. Wa aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'iril mu'minin astaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونصلي ونسلم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned another person and the people that are deserving of mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَانصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you hear the Quran recited, إِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنَ. So if you hear the Quran recited, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ. Then focus and listen to it. Listen closely to it. Now obviously this was originally sent down for the salat, but it's for the salat and outside of the salat. So even in the salat, you should be focusing and trying to understand it, to understand the Quran. But you say, how can we can't understand the Quran, man, because our language ain't Arabic. Well, then you know what you need to start working on, don't you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this book down in Arabic. And that's what you have to learn. That's an obligation upon every single Muslim, that if you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment and you did not learn the Arabic language because of neglect, just because you were lazy, that you're going to be held accountable for that on the day of judgment. How can you understand the speech of Allah without the language? You can't sit here and read these English translations and think that you're going to understand this. The only way, when you're in the salat, the only way to implement this ayah is to understand the Arabic language first off. That's an obligation, even upon the Arabs, that they have to understand the Arabic that the Quran was sent down in. As upon everybody. This is the speech of Allah. This takes precedence over everything in this earth. Everything. You spend so much time trying to learn and try to understand what people are saying. Why don't you give that same effort for what your creator and your sustainer and the one who's going to hold you to account on the day of judgment, what he said, his speech should be the best speech, and it's deserving of the effort for every person to sit down and try his best. Try your best. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you based on your effort. If you try, and you really, really try, but you don't succeed, but you die, at least you can meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment saying what? You tried, you gave it your effort. But if you sit around and you're just lazy and you think that video games are more important or sports are more important, you could be taking that time that you're watching a stupid football game and study the Arabic language, memorize the Quran and do things like that. All this other stuff that you spend time on, you have the time is there. The resources are there, everything's there. But you know what's not there is the desire. You don't desire it. And that's something that you got to fix with yourself. Because if you don't desire to understand the speech of Allah, Allahumma musta'an, like what do you really think that your situation on the day of judgment is going to be? So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنِ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ. So listen closely to it. وَانصِتُوا, and stay quiet while you're listening. Don't move, don't talk, don't do anything. When you listen to the Quran, you focus on it because you're trying to understand. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. This is his message to mankind. Don't you want to understand that? So he said, and then after that he said, وَانصِتُوا. He said, لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And if you do this, then you will be, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you will have the mercy bestowed upon you. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have mercy on you by doing this. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word la'alla, which in the Arabic language means hope, but it doesn't mean hope when it means what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, means wajib. That this is going to happen, that's wajib, that it's obligatory that you get the mercy if you fulfill these conditions. These are the conditions that we've gone through this. You see, the people of taqwa, the people of iman, the people of action, the people that fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they're alone. You see throughout the Quran that these are the people that are deserving of the forgiveness of Allah, deserving of His mercy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولُهُ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. So also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, obey Allah and obey His messenger. And if you do that, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have mercy on you. You have that mercy. Because this is what we have to hope for. If you don't have that mercy, your actions mean nothing if you don't get the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your actions are not what's going to enter you into Jannah. Your actions are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you the ability to do those actions, gave you the desire in your heart to do those actions. So that's a ni'mah, that's a blessing from Allah. So those actions that you do are not enough and they're not sufficient to get you into Jannah. The only thing that's going to get us into Jannah is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was stated in the hadith of Abi Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu. And when she said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, قاربوا وسددوا واعلموا أنه لن ينجو أحد منكم بعمله. فقالوا ولا أنت يا رسول الله؟ قال ولا أنا إلا يتغمدني الله برحمة منه وفضل. This hadith is in Sahih Muslim. Where here the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he said, قاربوا وسددوا. Qaribu, it means do your best to hit the target. Get as close as you can to hitting the target. If you cannot do the action in a perfect manner, like for example, you're commanded to stand up and pray, but you can't stand up. Maybe you got a bad back. Sit down. Pray sitting down. Qaribu, do the best that you can. Get as close to perfecting the action as you can. And then he said, wasaddidu, and perfect the actions. Make sure that you do the actions in accordance with the Quran and the Sunnah in the exact manner that you see in the Quran and the Sunnah. That this is the way that the Prophet ﷺ did it. This is the way his companions did it. This is the way that we're going to do it. This is tasdeed. He said, وَصَدِّدُوا وَاعْلَمُوا. And then he said, and know, لَن يَنْجُوَ أَحَدُكُم مِّنكُم بِعَمَلِهِ. That nobody from amongst you will be saved from the hellfire just because of his actions. because of his actions. So the Sahaba said, Wala anta ya Rasulullah. Even you, O Messenger of Allah. He said, Wala ana. He said, even me. Imagine that, the Messenger of Allah saying that not even me, I'm not going to be saved based on what? On my actions alone. He said, Illa an yataghammadani Allahu bi rahmatin minhu wa fadl. Only if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely encompasses me with his mercy and his bounty. That's the only way that we get into Jannah. But there's asbab. There's ways to get that mercy and ways to get that maghfirah and ways to get that forgiveness. And sitting on your backside being lazy and procrastinating every single day of your life is not the way. That's the way to get tossed off into the hellfire on your face. The way to get into Jannah, the Jannah, you have to struggle for it. It's not something that's going to come with a small price. It's not going to come with something like you sleeping throughout the day, oversleeping Fajr, not taking this deen seriously, never praying in the masjid, but yeah, I hope Allah has mercy on me. That's a fool's way of thinking. And we need to get out of that fool's mentality. We need to start taking accountability for ourselves, our actions, and everything that we do. And we need to start looking at ourselves. If we're busy looking at ourselves and seeing our own actions, are we even deserving of the mercy? If I don't see myself as deserving of the mercy of Allah because my actions are so messed up, I don't care about what you're doing, what he's doing, what he said, what she said. I don't care. That doesn't hold my attention. Because right now, what holds my attention is trying to get into the where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with me and pleased with my actions. That's what we all need to focus on. That's what we need to get back to. That comes with like what? First off, filling up the masajid. Second off, learning this deen and trying to practice it to the best of our capabilities. Wallahu musta'an. Allahumma qina adhabak yawma tab'atu ibadak. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين أقيموا الصلاة